Welcome to Science with Robert, a YouTube channel dedicated to sharing science with you in a fun and interactive way. Enjoy!
This is a low-level nuclear waste disposal pit. Disposal of nuclear waste from our nuclear power plants is a problem we have right now. Our country simply cannot decide what to do with nuclear waste from our power plants. It was initially planned that we would use the nuclear waste repository in Yucca Mountain in Nevada. This is the north entrance when they were still giving tours. This underground facility is the most studied piece of geology in the world. With over 7 miles of the originally planned 40 miles of tunnels completed, it was designed to store our hazardous waste safely for 1 million years. What makes something radioactive? What makes radioactive material so dangerous to humans? And what, if anything, can be used to block radioactivity? What makes something radioactive? Every atom has a nucleus that contains protons and neutrons. Here are all the different types of atoms known to man. Each atom is named according to its number of protons in its nucleus. For example, any atom that has a nucleus with 6 protons would be called a carbon atom. If an atom has 8 protons, it would be called oxygen, and so on. All atoms are stable if and only if they have the right number of neutrons. This magic number of neutrons is different for different numbers of protons.
Huh?
I know this gets confusing, so to keep all this straight, chemists use a plot called the belt of stability.
The belt of stability. Sounds nice.
In this plot, all you have to do is look at the number of protons in your nucleus on this axis. Go up, and if the nucleus does not have this number of neutrons, uh-oh. Well, not that bad, but the atoms with that nucleus definitely are radioactive. An atomic nucleus is unstable or radioactive when it does not have the appropriate number of neutrons for its number of protons. So what do radioactive nuclei do? They fall apart. Radioactive nuclei emit energy and radioactive particles to alter the number of protons and neutrons in their nuclei. Radioactive nuclei continue being radioactive, emitting energy and particles until the ratio of protons to neutrons matches a stable ratio found in the belt of stability.
The belt of stability.
For example, here is an unstable nucleus. After emitting particles, the ratio of protons to neutrons changes. I guess once was enough for this radioactive nucleus because now it looks stable. No more decay because its ratio must match one of those magical proton to neutron ratios found in the belt of stability.
The belt of stability.
What makes radioactive stuff so hazardous to our health? Actually, it is not the radioactive material that is dangerous to the touch, but the high-energy particles that are being emitted from the radioactive material that causes damage to our bodies. Most radioactive particles pass right through us, but when they don't, and if we get repeatedly exposed for long periods or with heavy doses, our tissues and cells become damaged by these high-energy particles. In worst-case scenarios, the DNA in the exposed area gets altered. And cells in the area start multiplying and growing like crazy. That is the beginning of cancer. Again, what makes radioactivity dangerous is the amount of radioactive exposure our bodies receive. Well, that's enough exposure for one day. I think I'm going to get moving now. What materials can be used to block radioactive particles? Dr. Smith has some Fiesta ware, which was made with depleted uranium in 1959. They used depleted uranium because at the time it was legal, and it gives this nice deep orange color. Anywho, Fiesta ware is radioactive, as you can hear from Dr. Smith's Geiger counter. A Geiger counter gives a single beep for every radioactive particle that it detects. Let's use the Geiger counter and the radioactive Fiesta ware to see if we can figure out what types of materials can block radioactive particles. First, let's try some paper. Now let's try a piece of aluminum foil. This is a sheet of lead. Wow, the lead works pretty well. Let's review. Currently, the United States does not have a long-term solution for safe storage of our nation's waste from nuclear power plants. A material is radioactive when the ratio of its protons to neutrons in each of its nuclei do not fall within the belt of stability.
The belt of stability.
The health effects of radioactivity is dependent on the overall amount of radioactivity received by our bodies exposed over time. Lead blocks radioactive particles while paper and aluminum foil don't.